I just closed on my 8th rental property, my first wholesale deal, and the fastest deal that I've ever done, clocking in at 10 days from start to finish. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and my goal is to help as many people as I can buy their first or next real estate deal. Now in this video, I'm gonna break down all the numbers on my 8th rental property, 10th unit, and share with you the BUYING strategy that I have for moving forward, as well as share my experience with my very first wholesale deal. Now for those of you who follow the channel, you know that I've done seller finance deals, house hacking, purchased off the MLS with a real estate agent, and also bought with a turnkey provider. Now I officially get to add wholesaling to the list of methods that I've used to acquire my rentals. Now let's jump into the backstory on this one by starting off with something that we all could be doing more of, and that is networking. A YouTube viewer like you followed me on Instagram @MillennialMike and has messaged me back and forth for probably about a year now. He asks me questions, I try to provide answers, and we both happen to invest in Indiana. Occasionally, he sends me deals from different Facebook groups that we're both a part of and asks my thoughts or if I'm interested. Well, my friend here just casually slid into my DMs with an absolute banger of a deal, a 10 out of 10. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath with a detached 2-car garage, all brick house with a brand new 2021 roof on both the house and the garage, priced at $29,000. And look, I get it. I know what you're thinking. God must pick favorites, because how else could I possibly get this lucky? Now that's a great question. Clearly I've won the lottery here, and while I plan on thanking the Almighty for blessing me with this, I also want to thank the power of networking. If it weren't for this YouTube subscriber following me on Instagram, reaching out to me, a man whose real name I don't even know, who has no pictures on his Insta profile, I simply know him as REI Learner. Were it not for this guy and the power of networking, I wouldn't have had this opportunity. So big shout out to my friend, thank you. Everything in life is about who you know, so know as many people as you can. Alright, now back to my big, beautiful brick house. Currently, it's rented at $600 a month. Now this is way under market value for the area. The tenant is friends with the current owner, and they've been on a month-to-month lease for the last 10 years. The house has a ton of deferred maintenance. Now, as part of the brother-in-law deal that the owner offered, he promised cheap rent, but no updates and minor repairs. In fact, I would imagine that the stimulus for deciding to finally sell the house was the roof replacement that was just completed last year. It's a little thorn in the side if you aren't too keen on forking over cash for repairs. Now, another factor that I believe led to the owner being willing to sell this house for so cheap is that the tenant is routinely 3 months behind on rent and doesn't pay the water bill. Now, this is a great example of why I don't rent to friends or family. It can be very hard to have tough conversations, or worse, do an eviction on somebody that you're related to or friends with. If you think breakups are bad, try Thanksgiving with your cousin after an eviction. They're not going to be passing the gravy your way. It's going to be coming in hot after they freaking chucked it at you. I believe that the owner wanted to avoid that and is probably very tired of inconsistent, late rent payments and drama from the water company. His solution? Sell. Now here's where the wholesalers have their opportunity. Now here's a quick overview of how a wholesale deal works. The wholesaler sends out mailers, posts signs, and potentially door knocks properties looking for a seller willing to sell under market value for any number of different reasons. Then they tie the property up under an assignment contract, in this case for $19,000. Then they look for someone to buy the property, such as myself, for $29,000. They assign the contract to me, and I pay the title company $29,000. The title company disperses the funds to the buyer, paying them their $19,000, and then giving the surplus $10,000 spread to the wholesaler. That's how he makes his money. Now this house was put under an assignment contract on the 27th of May. The wholesaler began marketing it at $45,000 to his list of investors. Now the contract is set to expire June 30th, so Mr. Wholesaler didn't have time to play around. Well, fortunately for me, nobody wanted it at $45,000, and for good reason. The after repair value of this home is around $70,000 to $80,000. With the level of deferred maintenance that this property has, I estimate about $15,000 worth of repairs. Now that doesn't leave much meat on the bones or spread for an investor to capitalize on. On June 19th, just a few days ago, this deal was posted to the Indiana Real Estate Investors Facebook group, where my friend saw it and sent it to me. Now the price was now $29,000. A lot more spread left on this deal. Now here's a pro tip. A good rule of thumb if you're attempting the BRRRR strategy is to make sure that you're all in at under 75% of your after repair value. If you go over that dollar amount, you're seriously risking cutting into your profit and money if something bad happens. Now as I purchase the property, I'm confronted with 3 different hurdles that I have to get over. Number 1, I need to figure out what to do with the existing tenant. Number 2, the property needs a remodel and will require additional capital to make that happen. Number 3, I need to ask how you made it this far into the video without liking it or subbing to the channel. Seriously, it's been like 4 minutes. Come on guys, help me out here. All right, look, I'm kidding. The real number 3 is that I need to do a cash out refinance on this deal after the project has been completed to pay myself back all of my originally invested money so I can repeat the strategy again in a few months. Now let's talk about these issues one at a time. The tenant is on a month-to-month lease. I will elect not to renew their lease or sign a new lease with them. The interior of the house is in serious need of repair. New floors, walls, windows, and furnishings. I don't own slumlord properties. I don't own houses that I'm not proud of. I don't allow people to live in squalor on my watch. It's my duty as a good landlord to provide folks with a safe, clean, beautiful home that they can be proud of. It will be remodeled before another tenant is placed. In order to create a peaceful and helpful transition for the existing tenant, I'm going to offer them their entire security deposit back. No questions asked, no move-out inspection needed, if they're willing to move out peacefully within a reasonable amount of time after the close, say 30 to 45 days. I've also authorized my property manager to add up to $300 additional to their security deposit to sweeten the deal and entice them to move out in as harmonious a manner as possible. If they choose to dig their feet in and decide that they don't want to go, on top of the fact that they haven't paid rent in 3 months, they've got the water company ready to shut their frickin' water off, I will file for an eviction. Now, it's going to cost me about the same as their security deposit plus the $300, so I would rather just pay them to leave on good terms and peacefully so that they don't destroy the property on their way out, than pay them the court fees to have the sheriff escort them out. But that decision, it's ultimately up to them. Number 2, the remodel. Now, my property manager has completed various renovation projects for me on a number of different rentals that I own. They've even helped my mentor Mark complete a few total rehabs from start to finish. As part of my inspection process, I had my property manager get out to the property and take a look and give me their estimate on the repair costs. I also wanted them to get a feel for the tenant and have an opportunity to make sure that the property wasn't in a total war zone neighborhood or that it had serious defects that had just been overlooked. Now, this wholesaler did pay for an inspection from a reputable inspector who I've been referred to in the past. Now, I sent that report to my property manager to make sure we're on the same page with the tenant and the remodel. I made sure to keep my property manager's physical walkthrough as a contingency for this deal because I don't trust somebody that I'd never met or an inspector working for someone else to have my best interests at heart. Here's another great tip. Trust, but verify. Our goal is to get it rented to a Section 8 tenant upon completion. Our estimated rental value is between $950 to $1,050 a month. It's a substantial increase over the previous rent price of $600 a month. Finally, number 3. After completing renovations, placing a tenant, and waiting for the 6-month seasoning period to end, I'm going to go to a lender and ask for a mortgage on this property. Now, I'll probably use a non-QM lender and see if I can bundle this property with my Chicago house that I'm doing a similar BRRRR project on. With a non-QM lender comes higher interest rates, but I'm still able to lock in 30-year fixed-rate debt and bundle 2 houses together to pay 1 set of closing costs. Now, obviously, I'll have these projects quoted by multiple lenders individually, and whatever pencils out as the best cash-flowing and cash-on-cash returning deal will be how I structure it. Now, I'm frustrated that interest rates continue to rise, but I'm confident that I have enough meat on the bones of this deal that I can handle it. Now, worst case scenario, I'm out all the cash and I get stuck with no ability to get my original money back. But even that wouldn't be a long-term problem because at some point things would have to reverse and an opportunity for me to cash out would come back. Now, I'm going to save showing you my cash-on-cash return and cash flow number projections on this property until I've completed the project. As of right now, all of it would be conjecture and theory. Now, I'm going to remind you that my goal is to always buy great deals. And a great deal in my market is a property that positively cash flows $250 a month and has a cash-on-cash return of 18% annually or better. Now, that's what I'm aiming for. Let's see how close I get to it. Now, if you want to learn more about the types of deals that I've done in my market of Gary, Indiana, check out some of the other videos on my channel. Now, I try to be the most transparent real estate YouTuber that there is on this platform. I show you the wins, the losses, and the head scratchers. Down in the comments, let me know if you plan on buying your first or your next rental before the end of the year. Message me on Instagram at Millennial Mike if you want to connect, have questions like my buddy, or if you just want to throw a deal in my direction. Lastly, like the video, sub to the channel, tip your waitresses, and vote for Pedro. Guys, I really appreciate you watching the video. As always, I'll catch you next time.